All right, everybody, we are live here tonight for the Poker Uncensored 30. This is episode number 3 of the show. We had a couple of them last year, and we are bringing it back for the new year 2022. So, we're going to have a lot of interesting topics to go over tonight. Some of them will be controversial, some of them will not be controversial. But to get us started, we're going to talk first about me, the host of the Poker Uncensored 30. Nicknamed His Highness of Hold'em, he is one of the top 15,000 in poker per the Global Poker Index, or GPI for short. And in addition to that, is the 131st most winning player in the great state of New Hampshire. So that's a little bit about me. If you're interested, you can find me on Twitter at Matt Solon. You can also find me on Facebook. I think I've got Parlor now, where they don't censor as much, which is good. So uh, get ready because it's going to be an interesting next half hour here. We're going to talk about a number of topics. We've got COVID-19 cancellations, cheating in New Hampshire. There's corruption in that state that needs to be talked about. We've got a limp call article series coming up, some upcoming events. Yes, we'll talk a little about reality television, and then have an open Q&A. So that'll be running uh, this fine evening. So hope everybody's got a snack, grab a drink, put the kids to bed because there may be some. We might get some guests on the show tonight. They might have some things to say that you might not want the kids to hear. So, COVID-19 cancellations first up. So the recent uptick that we've had in COVID-19 and the new Omicron variant is leading again to poker tournaments being canceled. Some rooms basically don't have the staff to run the tournaments. They've got people out sick. They've got positive tests. So simply put, they should have had, say, 50 people. They should have had, say, 60 people, staff members, right? Well, they might only have 20. And that could be because they've got people out sick. So they're saying, "Oh, we can't run this tournament. We'll still keep the cash games going." And that's happening. MGM National Harbor, probably the biggest one to make a big cancellation. The entire Potomac Winter Poker Open, which is supposed to be in February, is supposed to be a great event to draw people in, basically right outside the DC area, easy for people in Maryland, Virginia, the district, even parts of Pennsylvania, New Jersey to get to, and it's all canceled. This was going to have over $1 million of guaranteed prize pools. It was going to be an event that would essentially sort of be a replacement to the typical Borgata Winter Open, which usually would run in the January timeframe, but Borgata isn't running any major series. And unfortunately, it's canceled. It's not happening, and it sucks. It just really sucks. Um, but in lieu of that, there are some things that are running. But what's really ridiculous, these rooms that say, "Oh, we're canceling for health and safety," they got to stop with the bullshit. It's just ridiculous. If you guys think playing poker is not safe for your staff or for the players, well, why would you keep running cash games all the time? I mean, if you've got a cash game going, it's actually even worse because cash games, anybody can just show up with like a couple $100 and go buy in. They don't have to give a player's card necessarily. Whereas when you do a tournament, people actually have to go through registration. They usually need a player's card, or they've got to show like an ID to get their buy-in slip. And so who's playing. You can do contact tracing. You can't do that in cash games. So it's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you can't have this double standard that, "Oh, well, we can't run tournaments because it's unsafe during COVID, but we can run the cash games." It just doesn't make any sense. It's absolutely absurd. So moving on, we're going to hit a topic which I'm sure is going to have some controversy. I'm sure it's going to have some people get upset. You know, that type of thing happens when you're talking about cheating. And there was a big problem here in New Hampshire with cheating. So allegedly, you had people playing cash poker games in New Hampshire rooms, and they were marking the deck. And if you look at this picture, you can see that there are marks on the side of this deck. So essentially, this is looking at a normal 52 card deck. We're looking at the side of the deck, and you can see there's these little indentations, and I've circled some of them. If you look at the red circles, right, you can see there's these indentations on the card. And basically, what was done is different values of cards were indented at different points So somebody who is looking at the deck of the dealer's hand or looking maybe even at the edge of cards that other players had closely, they would know what that card's value was. Now, that gives them an obvious advantage to cheat because let's say you have a hand like pocket sevens, flop comes down and it's ace queen three, but you know that a seven is going to come as the turn card. Well, in that case, you don't have to be scared of getting your entire stack in the middle because the guy who has a hand like, ace jack suited or whatever is going to be in big trouble when you turn your set. And since they've hit top pair and they think they've got a maybe decent kicker, you know, you might be able to raise their bet and get more value. And normally it wouldn't have made sense to do that. So having that advantage is obviously bad. And that's definitely something you can't have in a poker room, right? It's supposed to be a fair game. It's supposed to be a game based on skill. Whoever has the most skill should be able to win, not the person that's able to figure out how to cheat. So the alleged cheater was apparently kicked out of the Chasers poker room in Salem, New Hampshire, which is obviously good. I mean, if you catch a cheater, you probably can't be like, oh, well, you're welcome back. Keep on playing. It's screwing everybody. Um, However, there's been nothing done to recover the money that was lost to this cheater. So apparently the guy was sitting at games like $2, $5, $5, $10, you know, taking thousands and thousands of dollars away from, respectable, honorable people who showed up looking to play some poker. They were expecting a fair game. They know that the Chasers Poker Room is licensed by the New Hampshire Lottery Commission, so they figure they're in a place where they're going to have a fair game, place that's been approved to open and operate following the regulations of the state of New Hampshire. Meanwhile, they are getting screwed, and that's just not right. Now, the questions I want to say, does this poker room have a responsibility to make players whole? Should they be looking to reimburse the players who lost money and then maybe go after the person who cheated? I mean, this guy really ought to be in jail. Right. Now I don't say we should throw everybody in jail. Some guy who decided he wanted to do a little marijuana, there's probably no need to throw him in jail. But when you willfully go in and you steal money from customers like that, from people, I have no problem throwing the person in jail. I think they should be put in jail until they can make restitution. Um, but was there a failure here, perhaps? And this is the question I'm asking. Was there a failure to follow proper procedures to ensure the decks were not marked? When you have a poker table, every time you shift out the dealer, change out the dealer, isn't the new dealer supposed to spread out the deck and look at the cards and make sure that the cards are okay? And shouldn't there be managerial oversight that the managers are periodically, looking at the decks, swapping out the decks? I mean, you see it at casinos like you go to the Venetian in Las Vegas, they will come over and collect up the decks and put new decks on the table. Some places where they're doing higher stakes, they don't even reuse the cards. So I saw down in Atlantic City in December, high stakes baccarat where the cards just get discarded after one use. Now this is like high stakes. People are betting like $50,000 in a hand of baccarat. The minimum at the table, you had to bet like 5,000 or something. So obviously they can afford that, but they're throwing the decks out. And now I've got good old Christopher Palino, and this is a guy who I believe he has played probably in this poker room. He says that no one is cheating in New Hampshire. Well, obviously that's not true because as you can see by the evidence here, that deck is pretty clearly marked. You've presumably, there's you can see kind of at the same level. There's generally like 4 marks across at the same level because they're probably marking, not every card, but more like cards probably like a aces, kings, queens, jacks, whatever they wanted to mark those. But there's that. So there's definitely cheating, and apparently, the room threw out the cheater. So obviously they must have figured out that he was marking the cards illegally. So one question I asked, should these decks be getting replaced more frequently in New Hampshire poker rooms? And you've got to remember, New Hampshire, in a lot of cases, these are not full service casinos that are running. They're limited service places that offer gaming as a essentially charitable gaming, but should they be looking at these decks and maybe every couple of hours the deck gets taken off the table and replaced with a new deck, or maybe they put a new deck in and the old one gets a very close inspection by somebody who's actually trained to look for these sort of things that are in a deck. I don't know. Now, Squidmodo says you would need the Hubble telescope to see the marks on the deck. Well, obviously, we don't have the freaking Hubble telescope here, and we can see that the deck is marked. I mean, I was looking at this picture on my iPhone before. The iPhone screen is maybe 6.5 inches in diagonal across, something like that. I don't know the exact dimensions. I'm sure somebody will tell me if I'm wrong, but you've got the iPhone screen, and I'm looking at that, and I can tell that it's marked. Now, if you're, looking at this podcast on a 30-inch monitor, 60-inch TV, whatever, you're going to obviously see that it's marked. But the actual deck, you would have noticed this because remember, this guy got caught. He got caught. So those are the questions that I have. If you've got thoughts, chime in. Also, if anybody wants to come on the podcast, feel free to do so. And you can talk about it now. We've got Paolino saying he doesn't care about the MTT. He's playing at the Venetian right now. It's going to cost him $70K. I don't think the guy bought into a $70K tournament. There's not even a $70K event running right now at the Venetian. However, Mr. Paolino apparently is flush with cash because I hear he final tabled the Mid-States event, the MSPT at the Venetian last week, and picked up well over, I think it was over $18,000. So congratulations. It just goes to show when you take some time away from spending your life on the internet trolling and you focus on poker, you can do well. So that's always interesting. So moving on to our next topic, the upcoming Limp Call article series. So the Limp Call article series basically is compiling together a story to talk about the rise and the influence of Limp Call on New England poker. It's a poker group that's out there. They've got a Facebook group. I think they might even have a Twitter account or whatever. And they did some good stuff in New England. They actually helped to get tournaments to grow in New England. I think they helped structure out and design some of that stuff. But there is a story to be told of some potentially dishonorable conduct and even maybe criminal conduct where Limp Call members may have acted in a manner inconsistent with federal law. We're looking to try to get hard evidence. If anybody knows anything, send it to me, because if I can find the evidence, I can publish it out for the community. If anybody finds evidence to the contrary that proves that Limp Call didn't do anything wrong, again, send it to me. We can publish it out. So this multi-part article series is going to take several months to complete because one challenge is that we're not getting a lot of forthcomingness from people who are in Limp Call. They're either scared of persecution or they don't want to talk on the record. Limp Call leadership's not being forthcoming. The goal is to put forth, though, a balanced story. We want to give Limp Call the opportunity to present their side. This isn't a hit piece. This isn't an attempt to make them look bad. People are going to get the facts, and then they can make their own decisions. It's fair and balanced reporting. And that's how things are going to be done. But again, when people won't talk, makes it a challenge. You just can't get the information that you need. I've tried to get the financial documents out of Limp Call. I haven't been able to get those yet. That'll show the truth about what's going on. That'll really show, what people are doing, and it'll show the information. But no, we don't have that now. By the way, to Mr. Paolino's comments, he says that he thinks that first place is going to be $70K. Well, maybe he'll get there. If he gets his $70K, maybe it'll improve his lifestyle, because $70K for some could be life-changing money. Moving on to our next topic here. We're going to talk about some upcoming poker events that are happening. So coming up later this week, we kick off the World Series of Poker circuit at Choctaw Durant in Oklahoma. It's going to have over $1.7 million of guarantees, and most notably, the chance to win some WSOP circuit rings. If you win an event here, you get a circuit ring. I also think if you win an event here, you get into the WSOP Tournament Champions, which is basically going to be an opportunity to win some big money later on. The Lucky Hearts Poker Open It's in Hollywood, Florida at Seminole Hard Rock Hollywood. That kicks off on January 13th, runs across Martin Luther King Day weekend, wraps up 126. This is huge. It's got over 4.5 million in guarantees. They've got $1 million guaranteed high roller, 25K buy-in. They've got a WPT main event. One of the opening events, I think, is a another $1 million guarantee. It's either a $400 or $600 buy-in, multi flights. You can fire all the shells you want. It's going to be big. Florida has become a powerhouse in poker. Mostly because of what is going on with the Seminoles, Seminole Tampa, and Seminole Hard Rock. They were running events when other rooms are shut down. They don't have the staffing problems. They're able to. They don't have somehow in Florida. People want to go work. People are moving to Florida actually to get jobs. If you look at what's happening in America, other states, New York, Massachusetts, they are losing people, and they've got people coming to Florida because they want to work. They want to be able to get jobs, and Florida has them. I don't know what's going on with these other states. Maybe they could learn from Florida. And then we've got the Venetian Deep Stack Extravaganza taking place. That is in Las Vegas, Nevada. Kicks off January 31st, runs until the end of February. More than 2.5 million in guarantees. What's really nice about the Venetian's uh, series is they've got buy-ins that are going to range, all the way from I think 200 on the low end up to like probably 2,500 or something on the higher end. And so it's got a good spread for people with different bankrolls. They've got the MSPT coming back for another event there. They've got bounty events. They've got events that have, single day events. They've got 2-day events, 3-day events. It's a great series. The Venetian knows how to do good customer service. They run a quality poker operation. And what they do there too, they prioritize their big tournaments over running the cash games. These other rooms, they're not willing to do that because cash is what the suckers play. They, kick money into the pot for rake every single hand, and the room just makes money and money and money. But the Venetian actually cares about its tournament players. So that's that. Moving on to our next topic, a little reality TV talk, and this will only be a quick one on this one, but yes, they did kick off the Bachelor season premiere tonight. Jesse Palmer is the new host after they canceled out Chris Harrison. Again, this is another ridiculous thing. Come on, people. You defend a young woman on TV or whatever, or on a podcast, and they come out and demand you be canceled. It's ridiculous, but I think Jesse Palmer did an okay job as the host. I think it's going to be an interesting season. It'll be interesting to see where the ratings goes. Needless to say, I won't be playing poker on Monday nights because I'll be watching this for the next few months. So if anybody's got any questions, it's open Q&A time. You can post your questions on YouTube, send them on Twitter, use hashtag poker uncensored, all one word. Again, that's hashtag poker uncensored. You can put them on Facebook, just put them in the poker uncensored group, which is now actually it's a dual purpose group. It's expanded its scope to allow for some discussion of reality television, which is great. But anyway, get your questions out there because we've got 7 minutes left tonight, and we're going to try to answer any questions that we can. So get them out there. Let's see what we've got. Let's see. Oh, of course, our buddy Palino with the old I don't know what this is, but he says if he cashes for 3K more in this event, he'll have 2 separate Hendon mobs that are higher than mine. Well, great. It's weird that he has 2 Hendon mobs. Maybe somebody should contact Hendon and tell them there's duplicate accounts and to delete one. And I'm sure that Mr. Palino is well aware of how to contact Hendon Mob because he's done it before. And it led to him getting sued and losing in court and almost getting sent to a jail cell because there was a warrant that was going to be put out for his arrest because he also failed to adhere to the orders of a circuit court judge. So, do we have any other questions? Let's see here. Let me check Twitter. Let me check other. Oh, we've got one here. So, we've got a question here about the World Series of Poker this year. Do you think they will require vaccination again at WSOP in 2022? I think they will. I think that, what we saw with the WSOP in 2021 was that they said, if you want to play, you've got to be vaccinated and then go through a process to have your vaccine status verified. I just don't see them running the WSOP in 2022 without that same requirement, especially if the mask mandate is still in place in Nevada. Now, the Nevada Gaming Control Board today said that it is the responsibility of licensees, so basically casinos, to enforce this rule. The exception in Nevada, if everybody has to be vaccinated, you don't need the masks. And when you're trying to film an event for television, the masks suck. Nobody wants to go watch TV when you've got a bunch of guys sitting around the table all wearing masks and hoodies. So I think they're going to require vaccination again. As to whether they require a booster or not, that's still open. I mean, I could see by the time WSOP goes that they might say people need to have had a booster in the last 6 months or the last 8 months as well. Some countries are already doing that, but that's still up in the air. And then let's see if we've got any other questions here. Let me just check Facebook, see if anybody's asked anything here. Oh yeah, we got this question here about whether or not I'm going to play 2-5. Huh. So it's an interesting one too because it's the typical, hey, are you scared to play question that came up. And so it's this question is, are you scared to play 2-5? I'm not scared. I'm actually not scared to play any poker, right? It's not, unless we're playing poker where like the loser of the hand is going to get like shot in the head, then I'm probably not going to be scared, right? So, maybe if I play 2-5 and I punt off a buy-in, all right, well, I punted off a buy-in and, maybe instead of eating a, you know, expensive steak dinner and drinking Cristal, I'll have to go to McDonald's. But it's not really gonna scare me out of anything. So I'll play 2-5. I just don't really like to play cash much. I more prefer tournament play. Never gonna win life changing money at 2-5. If you sit down at 2-5 and you have a great session and you make, let's say you make $5,000, that doesn't mean I'm suddenly gonna be driving around a Lamborghini and flying on private jets, right? But if I took the same amount of money that you're using to buy into a 2-5 game, let's say you take, 3 bullets to 2-5 and you go buy into tournaments, you get 6 to 7 figures of money, and 7 figures of money would sort of be life changing. So that's the way I see it. We got Squidmodo asking, will this thing be listened to by more than 4 people? Well, right now there's more than 4 people listening, so the answer to that is pretty clear. It's yes. And before we wrap up, because we've got about 2 minutes, we're going to look through a couple of things, see if we've got any other questions through on Facebook. And we got one. So it's the old it's the old Super Bowl related question here. So let me get that up on screen. Who do you think Super Bowl winner will be? So, I think that we're going to see some really good playoff matches. I think ultimately the Super Bowl is going to come down to on the NFC side, looking at the Buccaneers, the Cowboys, or the Packers in the Super Bowl. And honestly, probably not America's team. It's more likely to be the Packers and the Buccaneers, one of those two teams. And I think on the AFC side, that we're going to see them facing the New England Patriots. And I think the Patriots will lose if that happens. I don't think that I don't see the Patriots being able to defeat Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. So I think we would see, the NFC winning this year in the Super Bowl. We get a question here from Limp Call. People asking if I am COVID 3. The answer to that is yes. I have double tested negative for COVID since having caught that last month. And then I'm also past the required quarantine time. So, I had COVID. It actually was not that bad. I wasn't afraid I was going to die. Uh, so I made it through. Obviously, other people have different impacts, but I would like to see us be able to move our economy forward and not just continually be afraid of COVID-19. John Stevens wants to know if I'm coming to the Borgata to play, like I said I was. So I may come down to the Borgata. I don't know yet. I'm going to try to get that figured out by the end of this week. But if I come down there, I'm not just going to go sit at 2-5 with you and Scott Gilman or whoever shows up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down there and I'm going to go to Philadelphia and I'm going to play live size at Philadelphia Live, which is basically the structure of the almighty stack that Borgata used to do. Deep stack poker, 100,000 chips to start, 2-day tournament, 100K guarantee, which they're going to blow away because since Borgata's not running anything over MLK weekend, everybody's going to go over to Philly. So they'll probably have like 400,000 in the prize pool or something huge. And I'm going to play that. And then if I don't make day 2, I'll go play 2-5 and recover the money that I lost in the tournament by taking it from John and Scott. Do I think pigeons are real? Well, I saw a pigeon the other day, so yes. Will Pokemon be the currency of the 22nd century? So Pokemon are not a currency. It is a trading card or a tokenizable trading card in the non-fungible token version. Let's see. Any final questions, anybody? They want to know what I'm wearing. It's interesting. So I am wearing a shirt, wearing like a quarter zip sweater and pants. Like they're jeans from Tommy, and the quarter zip sweater is Vineyard Vines, and the shirt is Nautica. So if anybody's looking to match my style, those are the places you got to go. All right. Well, thanks everybody for the questions. The last one here: do you eat pork? I do enjoy swine every once in a while. I've had some bacon on the weekend, but it's not my primary meat of choice. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This wraps up this episode of the Poker Uncensored 30. Hopefully, we'll be back. Hopefully, it won't take 7 months to produce another episode.